crab.
Okay, and so the season is now till when?
About a month. About a month.
1 month. Look at this guy. Holy cow. So how many dishes could you make out of this? If
You
someone
usually get 3 courses out of a crab this size.
Okay, and back at the studio, I don't know if you've ever had one of these king crabs, but Lee was just saying it's the best value. Even in Hong Kong, you can't get king crab for this this cheap, really,
yes.
Mark. So I don't know. Good option if you're looking in the next month to come out to any of the Chinese restaurants. ChineseRestaurantAwards.com is a great listing for anything to do with Chinese food.
All right, get out the butter and the crackers and get to it. All right, thanks very much, Don.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, thank you very much, Kyle. And I'm now in the kitchen of Sea Harbour Restaurant. Look at this beautiful, I guess, what would this be? Almost like a decor or an accompaniment?
Yes, it's decorations for the plate. It's a real discipline in the Chinese restaurant to be able to do this.
Fabulous. Well, we've got Lee Man, who is one of the judges for the Chinese Restaurant Awards, and Chef Leo, who is a dim sum chef of 20 years. So tell us a little bit about that discipline. How complicated is that, and what can you relate it to for our viewers?
Well, it's a real specialty in the Chinese kitchen. Classic Chinese kitchen, you have a dim sum chef, and that's all they do. It's like being a saucier in a French restaurant. You learn that craft, and it's what you hone throughout your career.
Okay, so Chef Leo is actually making, let's just make sure our viewers a little bit here. What did he make? And this was actually an award-winning dish for the Chinese Restaurant Awards.
This is a duck egg custard bun. This is made with duck egg yolks. There's some dairy in it. There's some milk powder. There's no artificial coloring. That's the color of the yolk itself. We're filling it in a dough, and we're going to steam it.
And so the dough would be what? Just a typical like?
It's like a rice flour dough.
A rice flour dough. Okay. And then it steams for how long?
蒸幾耐師傅？
蒸4分半鐘。
About 4.5 minutes.
Okay, so we've got the steamer right in the back here, right?
Yep.
And it's just a typical bamboo steamer?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and the red dots, for people don't know what the red dots are for.
點解有一點紅色嘅咧？
裝飾。
哦，即係
裝飾啦，包嗰個係。
Just for decoration.
So decoration identifies what's in there. Okay, so can we see what one looks like inside?
Sure.
Okay. And again, for more information on the award-winning dishes for the Chinese Restaurant Awards, you can go to ChineseRestaurantAwards.com. And what's greatly about this website is that people can sort of pick an ingredient. Like I like prawns, and you can type in prawns and look at what the award-winning dishes and the best restaurants in the Lower Mainland, and a lot of them actually happen to be here in Richmond.
Yeah.
So Chef Leo is just presenting it right now, and I understand when I open it up, it's going to be really hot.
Yeah.
Do you want to open one up for me? I've only got one hand here, but I don't mind. I know you've washed your hands. We're good. Let's see what it looks like. Whoa! Oh, gosh!
So it's famous for that. They say that when you bite in one of these buns, you might get some on your back.
Okay, so who am I going to now? I can't remember. Mark? Is it Mark?
All right, yeah, food malfunction.
Oh, Mark.
Okay.
There you go.
Bursting,
yeah, exactly.
bursting with flavor.
Bun malfunction.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, thanks very much, Don. We'll check back with you in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's just clear just like that. It would be like all of a sudden having light winds. Not the case. We still have very significant winds out there. Thanks very much, Kyle. I'm in the kitchen here at the Sea Harbour Restaurant. We're doing more cooking in just a moment, but let's take a look at some of our weather warnings issued by Environment Canada. So we'll talk wind because so once again, in just a few minutes, we'll be cooking here at the Sea Harbour Restaurant. They're just getting ready to prepare some sea cucumber, Mark. So lots more fun here from Richmond.
Dawn, a very blustery morning is in store for us.
Yes. Very windy, and we're going to talk some weather warnings later, but I'm not sure if you at home have ever seen sea cucumber. Lee, this is from the sea, obviously. Is it an actual cucumber?
Well, it's a kind of like almost like a snail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's local, it's sustainable, it's a real delicacy amongst Chinese people.
Excellent. Well, Chef Andy is going to be making a fabulous sea cucumber dish, which we'll show you a little bit later, but let's talk weather right now, and we'll take a look at our 5-day forecast. Again, many areas for the inner south coast, pretty much most of the island looking at their weather warnings and significant winds. We're looking at those winds eventually dying down tonight. It'll be breezy tomorrow, but we're hoping below warning criteria, and by the time we hit the end of the weekend into Monday, we hope to see a little bit of sunshine. So once again, in the kitchen here at Sea Harbour Restaurant, Chef Andy just making a wonderful sea cucumber dish. Lots more coming from Richmond. Let's go back to the studio.
Hungry just looking at that, Troops. Thanks very much. We'll check back with you shortly.
Not so good, not so good. And yeah, I mean, speaking of cooking, I'm in the kitchen here at Sea Harbour Restaurant where in mere moments I'm going to taste sea cucumber for the first time. Let's take a look at those wind warnings first off though, because it's going to be brutal for a number of areas. Pretty much the entire inner south coast, lower mainland, all of the island could see winds anywhere between 70, that would be sustained or sustained even at 100, and could be gusting anywhere between 120 and 140 kilometers an hour. So obviously potentially damaging winds. Take the necessary precautions. So Lee, what can I expect when I taste best sea cucumber?
It's going to be a very kind of savory, chewy texture.
Okay.
This is a local water cucumber. It's sustainable. It's really fresh. Other preparations are very kind of boiled out, but this is a really bright kind of snap.
It's the texture of a mushroom.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
You know what? I'm a fan. I'm an absolute fan. Coming up a little bit later, Mark, we're going to be making squab, which is one of the award-winning dishes here at Sea Harbour Restaurant for the Chinese Restaurant Awards.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Don. Enjoy.
Let's get your forecast now, and the wind is on the way, Don.
Yeah, and it started to pick up here in Richmond as well. In fact, our mast on our truck is starting to move a little bit. So it's definitely picking up. And we've been telling you all morning what you need to know, and what people are talking about is that wind. Environment Canada has issued that warning, and just find your spot. It's most areas for the inner south coast and the island as well. So keep that in mind. Could see potentially damaging winds. Take the necessary precautions. We also have an Arctic outflow for the north and central coast, and then a snowfall warning for East Vancouver Island. So not so nice today, although right now a bit of sunshine in some areas. In Richmond anyways, we actually have a few clear breaks. Now, as we look ahead to our forecast, we're looking at around 7 for Metro Vancouver. Temperatures still below average for the Fraser Valley. We're looking at about 4 centimeters of snow for eastern sections, rainy and windy for western sections. Snowfall warning again for Victoria, Sunshine Coast, looking at 20 millimeters of rain, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow for Whistler, 5 possible for Howe Sound. And our 5-day forecast continues to bring us a chance of showers tomorrow, windy conditions as well, rain on Friday. We start to dry out and even see some sunshine on Sunday and Monday. So here again at Sea Harbour Restaurant, winner of many of the Chinese Restaurant Awards, including this dish. What are we making here?
It's a steamed sablefish. It's a local sablefish.
And what's in this bowl?
The bowl here has shredded ginger, pork, mushrooms, tangerine peel.
And then it goes on?
It goes on the sablefish. That's a lotus leaf. And then it's steamed and served.
Excellent. So again, this is just one of the many award-winning dishes from the Chinese Restaurant Awards at Sea Harbour Restaurant. For more details, you can go to the website on your screen. Chef Andy. Very good. Very good, Mark. Lots of details on that website. Whatever you could possibly want, whatever ingredient, it's on that website.
All right, sounds good. And good use of the chopsticks there, too. Thanks very much, Don.
Right now, we'll go over to Don, who's standing by over at the Sea Harbour Restaurant. Don?
Yes, several awards won by the Sea Harbour Restaurant, including this dish we're seeing right now. What is this, Lee?
It's a crispy squab.
Okay, and what is Chef Andy doing right now?
He's just finishing it in the oil to make sure it has a crisp finish on the skin. Make sure it's all crackling for us.
Okay, and we should point out too, for anyone that doesn't know what squab is, it's actually pigeon, but they're actually raised specifically for this purpose,
yes,
right?
Yes, and the restaurant actually works very closely with their breeder and breeds it to their specifications. They're very fussy about their squab.
And you were one of the judges for the Chinese Restaurant Awards, which we should point out that they were announced a while back, but this is a website that is always active. And it's one of those things that people can sort of pick an ingredient that they love, whether it's squab or whether it's, pork or something like that, and they can find out what the best restaurant to go have that dish is.
Yes, that's right. It's We've picked our dishes by signature dish, and so you can really go into a restaurant, order what a winning dish is, and build a meal around that.
Okay, so Chef Andy just took the squab out of, making it really crispy, but here's what we have right now. So this is essentially what it looks like before we get it going, right?
Yep. What we do is we start out with a rub. It has 5 spice powder. It's got a bit of sugar in it.
I'm going to taste this just so I can... So the sugar obviously gives it a nice little sweetness and cuts through the spice, but a very typical spice in Chinese cooking.
Exactly, yes. There's a little bit of Sichuan peppercorn. Just a little citrusy kind of taste to it.
Okay.
He then lets that sit overnight, and then it's dipped in a sauce of vinegar and maltose sugar, and then that's hung until it's dry. And then when it's ready to go, he finishes it off with a last-minute cooking like that.
Fabulous. Well, he's just getting this one ready right now. In my next weather back at the studio, I'm going to taste what it looks like, Kyle. Or I'm not taste what it looks like, but I'm going to see what it tastes like. And I'm very looking forward to trying it. I've actually had squab once before, but not in this way.
Yes.
Okay, back to you, Kyle.
All right, thanks, Don. We'll check back with you in a couple of minutes.
Thank you very much, Kyle. And we'll take a look at our weather warning. That's what everyone really is talking about. This weather brought to you by 7-Day Reno. Depending on where you are, we could see sustained winds up to 100 kilometers an hour, gusting anywhere between 120 and even 140, which obviously are at very high levels, potentially damaging winds. 5-day forecast brings us less of a chance of showers tomorrow, although still a good potential. Breezy conditions, we hope below warning criteria, and eventually seeing sunshine Sunday into Monday. So as I mentioned earlier, the Chinese Restaurant Awards winners have long been announced. Critics' Choice as well as Diner's Choice. Here's one of our judges. I'm trying one of the award-winning dishes here from the Sea Harbour Restaurant. This is squab.
Very juicy.
Very juicy.
Yes.
Very nice again, Chef Andy. Back to the studio. Great options here at Sea Harbour Restaurant, Mark.
All right, we're waiting for some of that food to return as well with you. Thanks, Don. We'll check back with Don in just a couple minutes.
Good morning. You're watching Breakfast Television, a live shot there of the Century Plaza Hotel and Spa. Windy day. Here are your weather warnings. Find your spot. The inner south coast, lower mainland, and pretty much all of the island could see sustained winds up to 100, gusting anywhere up to 140 kilometers an hour. We have been in Richmond all morning at the Sea Harbour Restaurant, winner of many awards for the Chinese Restaurant Awards. Congratulations, Chef Leo, Chef Andy, and thank you, Lee Man, for joining us. Back at the studio, we are going to enjoy some dim sum. If you want to know where to eat Chinese food in the lower mainland, go to ChineseRestaurantAwards.com. Thank you, Ray, Margaret. We've got Christian. Let's all enjoy. And I know Catherine Peterson here at the studio wants one of these. Sorry, I don't know if it'll make it back, guys.
Perks in the gig.
Oh.
Brings back a couple. Christian does good work. He deserves it. Thanks very much, Don. That was great live.